Hello, hello, and welcome to the webinar that I have been so excited about for a month or so now. If you've ever met Angie or me, you know our schedules are very hard to directly align, but we are pumped today. I am Crystal Williams with Lemon Seed Marketing, the founder and lead strategist. Joining me in our virtual lemonade stand here is Angie Snow, and I'm going to let her introduce herself here in a second, but today we are talking about what both Angie and I both realize are some of contractors' biggest issues. And that is they think it's a marketing problem when really it's an operational problem. Or sometimes they have operationally really good things going, but they do actually have a marketing lead generation problem. But today we're going to talk about how better systems, especially on the CSR side, lead to stronger results to build your company. And so, Angie, thank you so much. I know you are so busy, so thank you for joining me today.
I'm not busy, I'm productive, remember?
Oh, yes,
I
very
used to tell
true.
the women that I am just a productive person. No, I
Yes,
love
there
that.
you
Thank you
go.
so much for having me. It's so fun. Always so fun to spend time with you. So thank you.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much. Same to you. I always enjoy it. So it's always a nice, good, professional conversation. And we do spend time catching up with each other's kids and husbands and things
Yes.
like that. But so, Angie, I always start my podcast, but I love to start my webinars with this way too. Like, what expertise are you bringing to the table? Why should contractors listen to what you have to say today?
Well, I hope I have some good expertise and advice to share. I currently am working at ServiceTitan as a principal industry advisor. And I have a lot of people say, "What is that? What is that job? What do you do for ServiceTitan?" And honestly, I think it's one of the best jobs. I get an opportunity to work closely with contractors across multiple trades around the country, and we take a look at their operations and we talk about, what are their goals, what are they doing, and how can we make sure that they have systems and tools and processes, best practices, things in place to help them operate at a higher level. And so I try to stay up to date on different trades, different industries, what's happening in the country. I try to attend as many industry events as I can just to stay abreast of what's going on. And then I bring my own experience of running my own HVAC company for over 17 years to the table. So I like to think I've got a little bit of experience under my belt and in growing a company and knowing what works and what doesn't work. So it's a lot of fun.
Well, you're one of my favorite people to talk to on the business side because it's such a genuine approach, and an empathetic approach to the contractor. So there's lots of us, like I come from the contractor background where my family owns and operates a heating and air conditioning and plumbing company. My sister and brother-in-law and my husband work at our family's pest control company. I am really good friends with a girl. She and I run a roofing company together. So lots of busyness, but my heart is for contractors, and I think you're in the
Yeah,
same boat there.
right.
And so today, Angie and I both, we kind of talked about it. We felt like we would talk a lot about how marketing and operations are very important to work together. So many home service businesses, I think, really think they have a marketing problem. But at the end of the day, I honestly think that there's probably more of a systems, operations, communications, expectations, all those words, issue. And so I really don't always think that it's a definite lead generation problem. As a matter of fact, a lot of times when we turn on marketing and we start really building brands and doing lead generation and helping clients build those things, it actually causes the problems to like inflame. It's like all of a sudden they became bright lights of terror, as I call it. Like, holy smokes, I didn't realize you guys didn't know how to answer the phone. You didn't know how to book calls. Oh, yeah, we don't even use our FSM. And I'm like, oh, this is out of control. So, Angie, I know I kind of gave you a little heads up here, but
Mhm.
what do you think are some of the most common operational mistakes that quietly sabotage good marketing?
Yeah, well, as you know, you and I were both kind of in the same boat together as you were helping to grow McWilliams and I was trying to grow Western, and we were both in that marketing seat in our company. How do we get the leads? Our owners, operators, they have these big goals, these revenue goals of where we want to go. And so the answer must be get the marketing going, right? And so we do that. We get the marketing going. But what I found out when I was in the seat as an owner and working with my husband, I was very intentional about which marketing tactics I would choose. As a smaller company, I had a smaller budget, so I had to be very careful with the budget I had. What
Mm,
could I do that wouldn't cost me much at all? I'm looking at that ROI on every single thing I'm doing because I have a very limited budget. And so as the calls were coming in, what I was noticing is I was like, I feel like we're getting the calls, but I can't really track it. I don't know how many calls we're getting. I don't know if these calls are leads. I just really didn't have a good handle on the actual calls that were coming in, where they were calling from. And so,
mm.
at that time, I didn't really have a sophisticated technology solution to track those. I really didn't know. It was kind of I'd guess or tell my CSRs, ask them how they heard about us. How did they get our number? Because that was the only way I could track it. Um, and so we started doing that. I started getting a good idea of what was working. We started finding ways that we could put different marketing numbers to different campaigns and track those through different softwares. But what I found was, my gosh, this was a great call. This was a qualified lead. Why didn't my CSR book it?
Mm.
And so I really started paying attention to the call center and knew that if I could upgrade the operations and the systems in my call center, if we could book more of those leads, that was less money that I had to spend on marketing. So I really turned my attention once I felt like I had my marketing kind of under control. I really focused on my call center and what I needed to do to improve the operations there so that we could take better advantage and really utilize and manage those leads better that were actually coming in.
Oh, so listen, I preach this every day. The CSR is the most undervalued position in a company a lot of times. I'll say, "Okay, well, tell me about your CSRs." "Oh, it's my daughter, and she does it from 9 to 4." And I'm like, "Okay, no." So, and the reason that I say this is because it is literally a lot of times after the point of acquisition through marketing. So whether they saw you on Facebook or whatever
Mhm,
they saw you,
mhm.
it is their first live interaction with your company. And
Yeah.
y'all are trusting this to people that really are oftentimes the lowest paid people on your team and the
Mhm,
most under-trained and under-equipped people. And so
mhm.
what happens is you found some nice person in your town and you're like, "Well, she can answer the phone." Listen, East Texas and Texas South. She can answer the phone. She can sit here and answer the phone. He can sit here and answer the phone, and they can. There's a lot of great CSRs that are good because they're just good people. But honestly, I have watched that destroy good marketing plans because I'm like, the marketing is working. You are literally wasting all of it because you're not equipping your CSRs with the ability to overcome objections, helping them like, hey, get the call booked. Nothing else matters. Get the
Yeah.
call booked. It's not always a perfect fit. And teaching your team to respect the CSR position also is like they're not your people that you can be beat up on. So like technicians calling in and being ugly because they got dispatched to another call. And absolutely not. We shall not tolerate that. But I will say, I'll never forget this, Angie. I'll never forget it. One of the sweetest clients, one of the very first people I took on when Lemon Seed started. He was a contractor in Arkansas, and he thought he had this wonderful like office manager. And I was like, okay, we're going to get everything connected. He had just onboarded with ServiceTitan. So we got everything connected, get all the tracking numbers going. And
Mhm.
he's like, this is crucial. There's just no leads coming in. And I'm like, man, that is not what this documentation is saying. So we started listening to all the calls.
Mhm.
And I realized that this lady was planning on leaving. So what she was doing is somehow she was mad. She felt jilted. She felt whatever. She was literally like, "Sorry, we're full today. Call," and she would name off a competitor. "We're full today, so call
Ugh.
so and so." And I was like, "What in the holy smokes is going on here?" And I listened to like 4 calls before I was like, "I am panicking," because he was so trusting of the CSR, but he also had no checks and balances is my point with
Yep.
this. So, even though
Mhm.
most of our CSRs, team members are not doing crazy stuff like that, but the problem is he wasn't validating, he wasn't checking what he was expecting to happen. And it was a good
Mhm.
lesson for both of us. And so I think a lot of times as contractors, the first thing you can do to address that CSR situation is check what's going on.
Yep.
Just spot check, listen to calls. It also helps you double check your marketing. It helps you double check your team. And also it like keeps you engaged with your actual customer so you can hear what they are saying. what they're saying to what
Right.
are they saying is the problem, what all's going on. It just gives you a better insight into what's going on.
Absolutely. I feel like that is when people say, "What should I do? How do I help my CSRs?" I usually say, "Well, the first thing, if you listen to any of their calls, like what are you noticing?" And usually, like common sense, you can listen to a phone call and you can hear whether it's the tone, the attitude, the way they're representing your brand and your company, if they sound like they're tired or if they sound like they don't care. I mean, this instance you just shared, it's a very obvious, very blatant, they're
Mm,
turning people away from your
mm,
company. But if you're never checking, you will not pick up on some of those things. I was actually just working with a call center this morning. We were listening to a couple of their calls, and the CSR was the customer called in and asked about a maintenance plan. And the CSR went into this lengthy explanation of what their HVAC maintenance plan covered. And then at the very end, he's like, "Well, I'll think about it, but does it include a water tank flush? Like a water heater flush?" And, had the CSR just stopped and said, "Yes, we have a maintenance plan. Tell me about your issue. Tell me what's going on. What are you
correct.
looking for this maintenance plan to help fix?" And then allow the customer to tell you, and be more curious as CSRs and allow the customer to tell you what they need versus just going into a spiel. They may not have even wanted a maintenance plan for their HVAC. They really just needed someone to come look at their water heater.
Yeah, or
And
even understand what that is. Yeah,
understand. I know, and I think sometimes, especially for CSRs who are like seasoned CSRs, this was a seasoned CSR who had answered calls for years and just went into the regular spiel about the
mhm.
maintenance plan. Sometimes we get very comfortable and we get very knowledgeable in our role, and we don't take time to just ask questions and really listen to the customer. That is actually like a privilege and an honor to be that representative of the company that gets to have a conversation and find out what they need and then look for solutions.
Yeah,
Sometimes as CSRs, I see too many CSRs just jumping into solutions, jumping into let's get this on the schedule, and not taking time to actually listen to the customer and find out what they need. Because at that point, then we can take some time to educate, offer options and solutions. But too often we go straight to the solution. So to your point, Crystal, stop and listen to your calls. Some of these
mhm.
things might be very, very obvious and really quick fixes, really quick, easy things that you can correct and train and help your CSRs with.
Yeah, so I love that. So that first, mistake that we see people making is not investing enough in your CSRs,
Mhm.
not giving them enough attention. You also mentioned a little bit about like the data and things that they're messing around with. That's my word, but I feel along the same vein of CSRs, bad data in, bad data out.
Mm,
So with my ServiceTitan hat on here, ServiceTitan is a powerful tool. And
yeah.
most people are not even utilizing ServiceTitan to their highest
Mm,
to its opportunity, right? I would venture to say most don't use it to its highest, abilities. But one of the things that really sticks out to me when I'm working with contractors and getting them onboarded with Lemon Seed, one of the things we do is this audit. So I'll say, how do you track what's performing? And most of the time, I'm going to get this answer. I got a few tracking numbers, or, but my CSRs, they ask the question. And so I always have to educate a little bit, like what's wrong with us asking a question? And there's nothing wrong with it if that's the bare minimum, right? Like
yeah.
that's the entry level there. But when we really want to understand what's going on, we need to see like where the leads are coming from through true tracking metrics. But it leads me to allowing the CSRs to manipulate the data of how
Yeah.
you're receiving leads, I think really is screwing up a lot of good marketing plans.
Mhm.
And so,
Mhm.
like tracking numbers that are set up inside of the CRM or call rail or whatever you're working with. Because again, I want to know what's the last phone number that people saw that they actually dialed from? What was that last emotional point that made them call, and then allowing your CSRs to still ask the question like, where did you hear about us? But it's all a it's all a puzzle. So we need
Yeah.
to understand the whole thing.
Yeah. And that was really when, going back to when I was operating and trying to figure out what what is working in marketing and what
Mhm.
is not, and having designated phone numbers to those campaigns, but still not having a real sophisticated way to track that until I put my company on ServiceTitan and I could see exactly the revenue coming in, the exact revenue coming in with each number. Um, and ServiceTitan has come a long way in, continuing. We invest a lot in continuing to improve what we built, and we continue to build it out stronger and better, and doing more things that it could do before. And so, even just the marketing campaigns, if those are set up right, at least I have a good idea of which numbers are working, what campaigns are working, what's not. The next step goes into, giving your CSRs and training your CSRs to help them understand what is a lead and what is not a lead. ServiceTitan gives you the ability to classify your calls. And I preach teach your CSRs to classify calls accurately, because if you're not, and you're managing a CSR team, you're on cleanup duty all day
All
long,
day,
trying to
all day.
reclassify calls, what's a lead, what's not a lead. And ServiceTitan, we're doing our best to help you. If the call's over a minute, we're automatically assuming it's a lead. But we know that not every call over a minute is a lead. But we're trying to give you some type of data. If you're not willing to put the data in yourself, we're trying to give you some type of data. If it's less than a minute, then we're saying, well, maybe that wasn't a lead. Maybe that was a hang up or something. And so we kind of have these fallback default things, but they're not accurate. It really relies, we have to rely on you and your team to listen to those calls, to pay attention, and then to have your call reasons set up to reflect leads or not leads, because that's truly how you can see how much of my marketing is working. And you've got all the data points, I'm sure, that you share with your clients and with
Oh, yeah.
others, as far as, you're going to expect this many calls, and we know not all of them are leads. This much of them, that should be a lead, but we don't know if you're not tracking those accurately. So,
Yeah, if everything is not a lead, like, so right now, you'll look, everybody's a lead, and I'm like,
yep,
so your own technician calling in to get dispatched because he had a flat tire on the side of the road, that's not a lead.
right.
And so, but also, like, one of the things that we track at Living Seed is call booking rate. And
Hmm.
I'll say, hey, like, y'all need to be booking. And, there's different schools of thought. Should
Yes,
this be every call that comes in, whatever, however you measure it. At the end of the day, just because it was a difficult client or customer does not mean that it wasn't a
right.
lead that you could book. So if you allow the CSR to do it themselves with no checks and balances, anything that's hard, they're going to be like, not a lead. That was not an
Yeah.
actual opportunity. So you kind of have to balance those things a little bit, because scoring is, again, guys, you just need to do the very best that you can do to give yourself the most clean data possible, so that
Hmm.
when you're making other decisions, so when CSRs are like, man, I can't get off the phone. Well, you can't get off the phone, but you're not booking anything. So who are you talking to? One of my clients also realized, like, their own team was calling in to do debriefing after each
Yes.
call.
Yeah.
And so when you have a team of 3 technicians, but when you've got a team of 33 technicians, all of a sudden that one poor person that is taking those debrief calls, you're right, they have a terrible booking rate and conversion rate and call answer rate, because they're over here debriefing every technician.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
don't know that until you start listening and engaging. So I wish I could tell operators, like, there's so many things that you can just, like, take off your plate. I think what happens is you start getting people to help you manage your plate. Your plate
Right.
still has to have those things on it. So, when you and I worked together for marketing, it wasn't like you could completely step away. You had to still keep your hands in things so that we knew what was working. Same thing, like, you may have a call center manager. It cannot be like, sorry, good luck, kick them out the nest. So as an operator, you have to be like, where are we? How's it going? It's just part of being a good leader, being a good manager. So the
Absolutely.
the other one that kinda, cracks me up sometimes, that I think is a big operational mistake, is um, allowing technicians to, um, decide for themselves when or how they're gonna upsell on a call. So let's say this. Let's say that we send out a postcard and it's for a $89 HVAC tune-up, right? We know none of us make any money rolling a truck to an $89 tune-up. So the expectation is we're either going to flip them over to maintenance club, we're going to sell some sort of repair, or ideally we, at the very minimum, again, the minimum would be they join our membership club, right? Our
Right.
maintenance club. Well, I am encountering a lot of contractors right now who are like, well, my guys just won't sell anything. So it's a $0 ticket, an $89 ticket. And I'm like, listen, we are running a full marketing campaign with this low barrier of entry. It's on your social media, it's in videos that we're making, it's in your emails to, to different people, different audiences. We're doing our job and we're generating the leads, but then you let the technicians decide when and how they're going to go service clients. Do you face this?
It comes down to what you're willing to tolerate
Mm,
as a leader. This is not a technician problem. This is a leadership problem. When you're allowing your technicians to go out and be like, there was just no opportunity, then you're just allowing that technician to slide by without any accountability. And you can't hold them accountable if you haven't given them the training, the
mhm.
tools, and the resources to be successful to do that. So absolutely, this is a leadership problem. This is something as a leader you need to take ownership of this and be
Yeah.
like, if this is something I'm willing to do, I need to know the steps that I need to do to empower, equip, and prepare my team to do this and help them feel confident to do that. There's a lot of things that you can do as far as training to get your technicians to perform at that level, to turn those leads, to sell the membership, give them the tools, the training, the practice. There's so much you can do there. Absolutely.
Well, and I kinda jumped a little bit ahead because I was like, "Listen, we've got people classifying calls wrong. We've
Yeah,
got marketing campaigns that the technicians aren't doing. We've got CSRs that aren't coached, and all of those things." But you're marketing really to I say it all the time, is sitting down in a game of chess and never being able to get up. But I just wish I could shake some of the contractors sometimes and say, "Listen, it's free will. So we can still make our own decisions, but you feel so much more confident when you've got at least some numbers to back
ah,
it up." Not all
yeah,
marketing is even directionally trackable. So, mass media, for example, is really hard to track in specific. Like, they saw my billboard, they called and bought a system. We have to deal up with other measurement tools for that. But, I just kind of lump all those things together because I need to know that as a marketer, my operator, or for Lemon Seed's case, operators, are looking at the details inside of their CRM or FSM, whatever
yeah,
people call it, right? And measuring those things, but also equipping the team to be successful because we're only as strong as the systems and operations and
right.
processes that we have feeding it. So I know that we spend a lot of time focusing on like, oh, did I get enough leads? I don't always know how to compensate, how to compensate and how to move your marketing plan around when I have
Right.
no visibility.
Exactly. It comes down to, I think you make a really good point there, Crystal. You cannot improve what you're not tracking and measuring. And so we have to rely on the data and we have to have some key points or data points that we can track and measure and then improve. So as a leader in your company, your department, your organization, whatever that is, you need to understand what are those key performance indicators, those KPIs, those most important data points that you need to track per team, per individual, per company. All of those should be broken down because those KPIs will help you see if you're successful or not. Before ServiceTitan, I didn't have insight into those
I
KPIs.
know. Yes.
I had no idea how many leads, how many calls my CSRs were taking. I had no idea what marketing campaigns were working, the ROI on which marketing campaign. And so to have a CRM like ServiceTitan that can track all of that data, that has the ability to track it, I would take some time and invest in someone on my team. If I don't have the time to do it as the owner, I find someone on my team who has the time, who has the desire, who has the aptitude and the attitude that wants to get in and understand and learn where all of these KPIs are housed so that you
Mm,
can pull accurate reports, you can pull accurate data and make sure that data going in is just as good as the data coming out, right? Because if the data going in is skiwampus, it doesn't give you good enough insights to make those important decisions you need to make for your business.
absolutely.
Um, we know, especially when it comes to marketing, I think about, and you know this, how many different places your clients are putting their money to market because we know that our customers are finding us as trade companies in a lot of different places. They find us on
Absolutely.
Google, they find us on their website, they find us from a direct mail piece, maybe it's on social media. And we have all of these different ways that customers can contact us. Now, think about from an operations standpoint, how responsive Is your call center team, your contact center team, are they responsive to all of those contacts? Because more often we're living in this world where people want a fast response. We are not patient people anymore. We can
No.
order on Amazon in the morning and it's there in a few hours.
Yes.
We are
Yes.
not patient people. And it comes that way when people need services as well. If you're not the first one to respond, I'm reaching out to someone else. And so we have to have systems in place to be responsive. So that is a KPI that I would track. How responsive are we? Another KPI that I would track is, are we capturing every lead that is coming in and responding to every lead that is coming in? And then we can start to make sure everything is being tracked accurately. But
Yeah.
let's talk about responsiveness first, and making sure we are capturing every lead and paying attention to every lead, because how many of those just fall through the cracks because we don't notice them till a day or two later?
Yes. So I have another client story. Another client story. So I have his precious client, and God bless him. What he wanted to do was he thought he was helping his team. So
Yes.
he was like, he had like extended breaks and like this really like, I told him all the time, I said, I feel like people have rolled a joint and a margarita in their hand laying on the beach.
Oh no.
You have a whole
Oh
chill
no.
vibe, which I'm all for a calm work environment. Like my word is a joyful. I love to have a calm but joyful work environment. Okay. Well,
Love that.
I felt like he had let his team, like it was like too far, meaning like we could kind of meander in the
Yeah.
mornings.
Yeah.
We could kind of go to lunch when we wanted to, and we could kind of, and I was like, hey, so you're missing calls. Like people are starting to call at 7:30. He's like, oh, I don't make my team report till like 9 o'clock. I'm like, yeah. So let me tell you what happens. Let's talk about the person that you're trying to work for. They wake up and they have regular jobs, like they probably need to be there by 8. So they're starting to call you on their way to work. They're trying to figure out something because
Mhm.
while they're at work in the air conditioning, they want you at their house fixing their air conditioning. So, there was that. Then they got to take these long lunch breaks and he closed for lunch, which one day I was like, I love you, but I need to tell you that it is not 1977. We do not close down our whole business for lunch. There are too many tools. Like there's sir, just hire an answering service to answer your phones
Yeah.
from 11 to 1. Like there are way too many resources to do this. And my whole point is in true innocence of him trying to have this really healthy, everybody's
Yeah.
chilled out vibe. It was really impacting his answer rate and all of these
For
things, and I was like, "Man,
sure.
we're just not setting any sense of urgency."
Mhm.
Yet we're contractors when people are in a sense of urgency, right? So they're
Right.
hot, there's water spewing everywhere, their roof has got a hole in it, there's bugs everywhere for pest control, whatever, we can just keep going, right? All of
Yes.
these home service companies, like, we are a time of need service, therefore responsiveness is super important. So,
Mhm.
you have to set clear expectations for them, like, hey, the expectation is the phone rings twice and one of you have answered it. None
Yes.
of you, all three of you, none of you are too good to answer the phone. Answer the phone. If you're utilizing like texting platforms and things like that, it needs
Right.
to be up with an auditory ding or bell so that you know when people are texting. You have to kind of set those expectations for the CSR so that they understand if they're choosing to perform or not.
And you know what? CSRs want that.
They
They
do.
want expectations, they want structure, they want to know what is expected of them so they can perform to that level. But if you're just saying, "Here you go, jump in, answer the phone," it's like, Okay, but if you're very clear with, here are the expectations, here are the systems and processes to help you meet these expectations, here's the training to help you meet these expectations. As a leader, it's our responsibility to line out those expectations, those goals, those KPIs, and also give them the training and the systems and processes to do it. We live in such a wonderful time where we have even so many, like you said, we have alerts, we have technology available to help us know. Within ServiceTitan, we've created an alert system. You can trigger alerts when, as soon as something hits your email, or as soon as these different things happen, as soon as something is sold, so that we're not missing anything. It can be very, very clockwork. You just have to take the time to go in and set those up.
Yeah, yeah.
We have also, if there's a missed call, let's talk about missed calls, right?
Mm.
These missed leads or missed opportunities. How do we capture those? There are cool systems in place there as far as like second chance leads, where where it may have been a CSR who missed that call or said something inappropriate or,
Oh, yeah.
just off script. And now you've got a quick trigger and alert that you can call back and save that lead. That's a really cool feature we have available in ServiceTitan as well. And so, a text, if we've missed a call, we can text them, hey, I'm sorry we missed your call. Here's our phone number, text us back if you still need us. There are different things like that that you can automate and set up to help improve that whole entire customer experience.
Absolutely. And this this is about taking the reins.
Yeah.
This is about taking
Yes.
control. And I know you're probably going to hesitantly, but I bet you agree with this. You probably interact with a lot of contractors that are fantastic technicians, but not great operators. And it's because you have to actually care about these things. You have to care about responsiveness enough to invest in either the people to surround yourself with. Because some people, I use this analogy all the time. Like, just because you're the best shortstop on the baseball team does not mean you need to be the coach,
Yeah.
because you can have a great technical skill but be terrible at leadership skills. But part of that leadership is surrounding yourself with people that are focused on it. So if you love the technical side of your business and that's what you want to focus on, you better hire you a dang good operator that can then go
Yeah.
hold all these, because you need them. I do not understand how contractors are making these major decisions. I'm like, you don't even know. You don't have any alerts set up. You not worked on anything. Like, and I just want to encourage them. Like, it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have
Yeah,
to be that way.
it's just a different level of awareness is what it is, right? And as a technician, we've all started. I started answering the phone as a CSR before I became an operator. Like, we all start at the level we start at, and we don't know what we don't know until we start getting some more training. And like you said, surround yourself with people who are successful at it to help us learn those things that we don't know. I think what you're doing here, especially with this webinar, is trying to educate some of these operators who may not even realize what they don't know.
Oh,
And
yes.
so we know that this is not this is shouldn't feel shaming in any way. It should just be bringing awareness to you as to, here are some things that I could do and should do if I want to operate at a higher level. We talk to these contractors that have these huge goals, but they're not willing to change anything. They're comfortable, they're content with how they are, or they want big changes, but they don't want to put the work in to make it
Oh,
happen.
oh.
So
Well, and
to
my
get
thank you for that is true. I don't really shame people. You're right. I want people to feel like, okay, I listened to this webinar and it kind of changed how I thought
yeah,
about things. Because here's the problem, right? Marketing companies like Lemon Seed, branding, strategy, and things like that. Our problem is we want to help you.
right.
And I'll be honest, we know what to do. I can show you contractors that are operationally sound and let you see them grow. What I also see though is like this world of social media where so many people make it look easy. And I'm like,
Mhm.
y'all don't know. There's about 17 skeletons in that closet. Or there's about 10 million bucks lined up over there. They can do what they need to do. Like, the risk is a lot different for people. And so
Right.
I feel like contractors live in this life of like, man, I'm not smart enough to do that. So they almost, when I say they give up, they just like put it all to the side and they feel like, man, I just need to put my head down and go to work. And that is true. But I'm a Christian, and so I'm very positive. I always try to be positive and engaging about things like seeking wise counsel, right? So you
Absolutely.
have to seek people that are wise. That is
Yeah.
not always an
Yes.
influencer. People that love to get on social media and rip and roar and, be the loudest one in the room, odds are there is a whole other situation going on. I want people to know, like, this is solid advice. And you're probably only going to walk away with one thing that you can actually implement. But if that implementation is you're going to coach your CSRs, you're going to implement a tracking system, you're going to turn on
Mhm.
alerts, you're going to talk about
Mhm.
urgency. Those are things that you can walk away with today and implement that in the long run will make ServiceTitan perform better for you, will help your marketing perform better for you when you can't
Yeah.
figure out why all those things are crazy. Well, what are some things that you think, which this is going to kind of lead into it. So, to kind of getting us towards the end here, but what should marketers, so if you're an in-house marketer
Mhm.
or partially responsible, what do you think they should start doing today?
I will tell you this, maybe from a little bit of firsthand experience, maybe from some of the contractors that I've visited with as well, but I will tell you that if you're in marketing, you need to have a good relationship with everyone in your company. You need to be
Mm,
talking to the operators. What are our goals? What are you looking for? How can I support you? And give me your ideas. Then you need to be talking to the CSR team. I was on a meeting, like I said, this morning with the CSR team, and guess who comes to their CSR meeting every single week? Their marketing person. Their marketing person is in the CSR meeting every week, and they're there to say, hey, I made these few changes on Yelp, or you can expect this. We've changed this offer, just went out. They're communicating constantly and talking about, and then
I love that.
the CSRs then have a moment to say, hey, I have a question about this, or a customer called in and asked about this. And those conversations that can, if they get ignored, or there's never an opportunity to bring those up, can turn into sore spots and can turn into wedges in your company and can separate teams and build drama and hurt feelings. Those never come to fruition because the communication is always happening. The
I
marketers are
love
out with the
love it.
technicians. They are out talking to them. What are you seeing? What are you having a hard time with? What could I help you with to make your job easier? The marketer really kind of needs to be the synergist of the company. There's this new book. I have to show this. I would feel really sad if I didn't show this new book. I just had a business leader. Okay, where is it? No, I'm not going to be able to find it. Oh, here it is. I just had a business leader share this with me a couple weeks ago. It's called Profitable Success. I'm going to ask everyone to go check this book out.
Predictable,
Oh,
predictable.
predictable. I'm sorry. I'm like, don't have my glasses on and I'm trying to read it backwards on my screen. Predictable success. And in this book, it talks about needing 4 different people in your company to help you. It's the visionary, it's the processor, it's the operator, and it's the synergist. Now, think about the visionary is the person that sees the vision. This is where we're going as a company. And sometimes this is the owner, sometimes it's not. Then you have the processor. Okay, now I see where you're going. Let me build the processes so we can get you there. Then you have the operator that's like, okay, I see this. I see where we're going. I have all the systems. Let me take you there. I'm the one showing up every day doing the work. And then the synergist. Now, marketing's got to do all of these, of course.
Yeah,
But
marketing, yeah.
the synergist comes in and they are the person that is like, let me find the right people to put in the right spaces to make all of this work. And let me make sure all of the people are working together and the synergy is there to get us to that goal. But as a marketing person, yes, you got to have do all 4 of those things. But I think as a synergist, if you are having these conversations and communicating with every single person on your team to help, make sure nothing is falling through the cracks, and if there's a problem, we take care of it right away, you're going to get results, better results, faster results, the results that you want. And it's not chasing that silver bullet. It is simply communicating, talking with people, and being that person who can knock down problems before they even become a problem. Problems
Well,
are just misunderstandings and miscommunications.
absolutely. So, this is exactly what I came on to do for McWilliams and Son back in 2014. I
Yeah.
came on as their marketer. And my brother was like, I don't want to deal with retaining, recruiting, coming up with ideas, building the brand. Like, I need to go focus on the business. And
Mhm.
so, one of the biggest things that I hear now from that same team, which now this is not a shot at the existing people at McWilliams at all. They just have different strengths. One of the things that a couple of the team members were sharing with me literally yesterday, because I went by McWilliams to do some stuff, and they were like, there just is not that same sense of like camaraderie where like everybody's
Yeah.
on this, everybody's kind of learning the same thing. Now, listen, Crystal can fly by the seat of her pants. Okay. Like I can come up with something and be like, oh my gosh, I need to make sure I tell everybody. So I'm sure I wear a lot of people out, but I was the one that was like, let me attend the technician meetings and let me attend the CSR meetings and let me help you put on the company meetings. And the reason why, like, I knew that if all of those people understood our direction and where we were going,
Yeah.
synergistically, everyone was
Yes.
working together, we naturally were going to propel faster. It's like a rowboat, right? If I
Yes.
can get everybody rowing in the same direction, we are going to win the race. And
Mhm.
so I was super passionate about that. And now they've just kind of shifted how the role works in McWilliams. So still does great things, just a different role. And honestly, we were a much smaller size then. Because
You
listen,
were.
not
Yep.
every position scales. Okay. So I
Yeah.
would have trouble if I was dealing that $25 million. Like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? But I love synergy. And that actually was my last word of the year when I was at McWilliams was
Oh, I
synergy.
love that. That's
We chose
awesome.
yeah, we would choose a word of the year, and synergy was our last word because we knew the importance of CSRs, working with dispatchers, and
Yeah.
we were growing so quickly that almost like by the time we had a process in place, we almost needed to modify the process, which is a great place to be if you love flying by the seat of your pants and a terrible place to be if you're a stressor. Um, but
Yeah.
I think you fix the back end, fix the operations, and it will naturally help your marketing perform better.
Yeah.
CSRs are a gold mine of information. So don't
Mhm.
sleep on that position. But then also when you really align and get synergies, I love what you do. I love all of those things. It's so true. When you align those operations, and the operations and the marketing, you really start figuring out if you still miss goals, it's a lot more evident where you need to pivot.
Right.
I
Mhm.
was talking to Emily, my partner here at Lemon Seed the other day, and we're always trying new stuff with our own marketing for Lemon Seed. Like I'll be trying this style or this style, and one of the things I told her is, man, I part of me is changing so many things all the time that I don't have a constant. And
Mm.
so, I learned in 11th grade chemistry that I hated chemistry, but I also learned like there has to be something common so that when things start changing, it wasn't this. And so that
Yeah.
reminds me a little bit of like where we are here. So you don't have to go in and uproot everything you're doing, but if you're intentionally like, okay, let me make this slight modification here and see what happens. And then you
Yeah.
make another modification and another modification, but leaving some things constant, it allows you to know what really was moving the needle with your team. And of all the things that Angie and I have mentioned, that you and I have mentioned today, I think that not all of those are applicable to every contractor. Probably one of, or a part of one of the ideas and thoughts that we brought up today are what is plaguing you. I would bet that almost every single contractor listening today, one of the things that we said in some capacity is affecting you directly. And just some encouragement from us that you eat an elephant and a cookie the same way, which is one bite at a time. So you have to get started some way. Angie, any final words from you?
Yeah, I totally agree with what you just said. I think it becomes with awareness. Like, take a good look at where you're at. Take a good look at your operations. More than likely, you already know where some of the gaps are. But if you don't, it's time to start putting systems in place, making sure your systems are giving you good data points that you can track and measure so you know which levers to pull. You know if this is a call center thing that you need to work on. You know if this is something in your marketing. You know if this is a technician problem, and or maybe it's even a leadership problem. It may not be you, it may be someone else on your leadership team. But you know, being aware, taking a good account of where you're at today, and then just I start to identify one, two, and three. These are the next three things I'm going to work on and knock them out, like Crystal said. And yeah,
Yes.
no one is going to have a perfect operation. Let's just say that,
No,
right? Like
no.
no one is going to have everything running perfectly at every moment, every time.
And
Everyone's happy. All the systems are like it just is practically impossible, especially if you're growing, because those things need to change with growth.
well, I was
So,
talking to a contractor yesterday, one more thing, and she was looking to come on services with Lemon Seed. And she's like, I'm so embarrassed to tell you like where we are, what we do with marketing. Like, I can't pay attention to it. And I said, listen, odds are, number one, I've probably seen worse. And number two, like, good. The
yes.
first step here is you being like, "Okay, I need to put somebody on my team that can help me organize this marketing because I can't do it. I hate it or I love it. I just don't have the time to deal with it." And so like just starting to recognize those things makes you leagues above everyone else because you're identifying the issue and self-awareness also goes a long way. Literally, I will be on sales calls throughout the day or contractor calls and I just start thinking to myself, there are so many people that what plagues them is just a vast variety of issues. But honestly, the first start is being like, okay, let me start figuring out where my issues are. So
Right.
listen, today's webinar here with Angie and I was just meant to motivate you guys. Hopefully, we've identified some things. Like, hopefully, at some point during this webinar, you were like, "Oh, she's talking to me." I feel like that in church on Sunday. I'm like, he is looking directly at me. Oh, Pastor Ben, he's looking
And thank
directly at
you
me.
for letting me be here today to hear that, right?
Yes. So, Angie, just in case, I know you have lots of cool things that you're a resource for contractors for. What if someone wants to hear, about, let's start with ServiceTitan. How could they
Yes.
reach out for ServiceTitan?
Yes. Well, please reach out. My email is asnow@servicetitan.com. I'm also pretty active on all of social media, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So reach out to me there. I help a lot of our Service Titan clients who that's where they know me, that's where they see me. So they reach out to me there. But we're going to be at Pantheon next month. So I hope if you are a
I'll
Service
be at
Titan user,
Pantheon.
yes,
Hey.
we've got an amazing lineup this year. And talking about systems and operations, really that's what Pantheon is. If you're really looking to improve, automate, get better at operations, it's not just a software conference. This is an operations conference. We go from marketing to lead generation to booking calls to technician to increasing sales. We cover everything, and it's exciting to see what's even coming down the pipeline. So I'm excited for you guys to be there and see what else is coming up new. So we're excited
Perfect.
about that.
Perfect. And then I know you have CSR. I saw some stuff coming up in October, the
Yeah.
CSR Academy.
Yes, everyone who knows me knows that that's clearly my passion is helping CSRs. I do a lot of CSR work for ServiceTitan as well. But I've got a couple of great partners. We're going to be hosting a CSR Academy in Salt Lake in October. We
Mm.
are going to have 2 days. We're bringing in some guest speakers as well. This is really a class designed for CSR leadership, for managers, for operators who are just looking to improve not only the systems, but the results from your call center. So a lot of great stuff jam packed into 2 days
And,
with my
well,
friends Michelle Myers and Erica Lenore.
yes, I love this team. And if you love like just a good old bunch of kindness in a room, like pause, like I love it. I will take any of the three of them or all of them together. It's fantastic. But I will tell you this, you can trust if you send your CSRs to that academy, they are going to walk away with
Yeah.
they're going to be in a healthy environment that they are teaching really good skills. And so I could not rave more about CSR Academy, the people that are a part of it. So when you have good people that are leading other good companies and they offer training, it's well worth the investment. Send your lead CSR, send someone there. It will probably be a game changer for them. And then last but not least, I do know you take a few clients on. I know you don't have a huge opening for that, but a couple of clients on personally to coach as well.
Yes, I've had a few contractors reach out and say, "Hey, I'm struggling with my CSRs. Could you please just listen to a few of their calls, give us a little bit of coaching?" And this is really what I was doing before I came to Service Titan and teaching my 7-star CSR program, which is part of why we started the CSR Academy to bring that at a higher level as well. And so, yeah, I've been working with just a few people on the side, and it has been so fun to just get back into the day-to-day of what are you struggling with on a day-to-day basis, and is this something that is a mental struggle? Is it because a
Mm.
lot of us get stopped just by our mindset and by not believing in ourselves enough, not under we limit ourselves, and sometimes we sabotage ourselves, and sometimes we just need someone to kind of peel back that, hey, do you see what you're doing? Let's fix this and just make a couple of mindset shifts. And so it's
I
fun to
love
be able to help people with
I
that.
am yes, and I am in the mind shift focus right now. I just did a podcast on that yesterday. So
Oh, awesome.
totally understand like it is true mind shifting. So, and of course, I am Crystal Williams, the founder, lead strategist at Lemon Seed Marketing. We are your branding agency along with your overall marketing coach. So we coach you on how to have a good strategy, how to measure what's working, how to build that brand, how to recruit, retain, all the good things that come along with running a business on that side. And so I call it friends and family talk free. So hello at lemonseedmarketing.com is an easy place where you can visit us online, see all of a lot of our branding work and reach out to us. Lupita works side by side with me. She would love to visit with you. So, and there's no, of course, obligation to visit with Lemon Seed. We kind of interview each other, see if we would be a good fit. So, thank you so much, Angie, for being here. You are such a great resource in the industry and so kind. I really appreciate you taking time. And
Thank
for
you.
all of you that have chosen to watch this webinar, we would love to help you. But more than anything, we want you to walk away encouraged today and reminded that you are in the seat you're in for a reason. So go own your business and do great things. And we will catch you next time.